This training will cover how to copy and paste pivot tables, as well as how to make Excel charts. We'll be using this documentation, how to create pivot tables for data analysis, and you can follow along for step-by-step directions. So we will start with the data. So the first thing that you're going to do is create a pivot table. I'm using a slightly different table that's in the written documentation, but it's the same process. So right here we have a table that is student grade level, and then the number and percent of students that are level 3+. Again, we have it filtered on unique students because we have students, multiple students in the data set. So just as a reminder, you can see, for example, we have the student listed 3 times. So we use the unique or first occurrence indicator to take out the duplicates. So we're only looking at the total unique students in this data set. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste the table. So something to keep in mind with this is if you copy the entire table, what you're going to do is just generate another pivot table. So if you see, you paste, and then see how it's another pivot table here. So we're going to delete this. So to make sure it's not a pivot table, you are going to just copy the part of the table that you want to recreate. So we don't need this part up here. So we just copy this part and we paste either in the same document, or you can open a new worksheet, anything that you guys want to do. So some ways you might want to format this. Right now we have it on percentage. It's the percent of students who scored a level 1, 2, and the percent of students who scored a level 3+. You might want to actually see the number of students as well. So you go over here, you would right click, show values as, do no calculation, and that will give you the number of students. So if you go back to your table, you could insert a column before level 1, 2 and a column before level 3+, copy over level 1, 2, and then copy over the numbers for level 3+. So you could then merge these 2 cells together. And what that does is create a header over both the number and the percentage. So you know that this is the level 1, 2. Thing over here, that's for the level 3+. So basically what you see now is you have in 3rd grade, there were 8 students that were level 1, 2. That's 38%. There was 13 students that were level 3+. That's 60%, 62% of students. You don't really need a 100% column, so you could just delete that. If you wanted the total number of students, you could copy that over as well. Now then you know that 13 out of 21 students were level 3+, which is about 62%. You can delete these headers here. You know that row labels isn't a very good descriptor of what's happening, so you'd want to say this is actually grade levels, put grade here. And then you could add a title, number, and percent of students scoring and 3+. And then again, if you want, you can merge these cells to create full title, and then you could highlight the whole table and go up here and create borders so that you can see a little bit more clearly. And then you can kind of see how these numbers are off center. I would highlight them and click center. That's a little bit easier to read. That's kind of how you would format it. And then you can copy paste this into your presentations or Word docs or send out just to teachers or other staff members. So you may also want to create a table or chart or graph to accompany this. So you would go back to your pivot table. Generally, we graph percentages more frequently than numbers, but you can graph numbers. I'm going to convert this to percentage, so percent of row total. We're just going to save numbers over here. It's a little bit easier. Copy the part of the table you want to graph, so we don't need to graph this 100%. Copy. So then you would want to highlight your table, go up to Insert, Recommended Charts, and then Excel is going to recommend some charts for you. And these work, cluster column would work. Generally, we like to use, since this equals 100%, we like to use 100% stacked column, a little bit cleaner. There's whatever you prefer. You can resize it. And you can see the blue down here represents the students that scored level 1, 2, and the orange up here represents the students that scored a level 3+. So you might want to see the numbers on the actual chart. So if you click the blue, right click, add data labels, that's going to give you the percentage for level 1, 2. And you can do the same thing at the top, right click, add data labels, and you see the percentages at the top. So you know that this equals 100%. And you can tell when you look at it visually that a higher percentage of students are level 3+, which good. That's what you would want to see. And then you can, add your title like you did for your table. Student scoring. Yeah. So you can also, you see at the top, there's different chart types. So you can change the chart type if format it differently. You can also go up here and change the color. You can also manually change the color if you click on the bar, right click, click fill, and you can change it, to whatever color that you want to use. You can also add additional elements on the side. You can use different access titles. You can add a data table at the bottom if you would prefer. So if you don't want the numbers on the bars, you could add a little table at the bottom that shows the numbers and percentages. If you need to do any formatting of access, you can click on the access, right click, and go down to Format Access. So what you could do here is, say you wanted, you wanted it to go from 0 to 5%, 10 to 15. You can go over here and adjust those as you, however you want it designed. So that's kind of the basics here. I'll do one more table to show you a different table will show out. So remember, if you're gonna create a graph, highlight chart, the part of the graph you want. Click recommended charts. You can do a clustered column this time. You can still, if you click on the bars, right click, add data label, and then you can still add your table and chart like these last ones. So it kind of just depends on what you want to visually see. I would say that column and bar charts are probably the most common when using education data, just because they're easy to read. often pie charts don't really, aren't very commonly used. Line charts are probably the third most used chart. So it just kind of depends on what your data looks like and what kind of charts you want to create. That kind of gives you guys a basic of how to create charts and how to copy and paste your pivot tables to create static tables that you can reproduce. So thank you for participating.